Clients visiting the Registrar General's department in Accra are being turned away by security officers. The entrance is locked with red banners tied to the main gates, indicating that the strike is in full force. Now, the strike being CLOGSAG strike, for which reason they are meeting the National Labour Commission. But let's get more on how this is affecting operations on the ground. Joseph Armstrong Goldelogbe is a correspondent who's been roaming certain places here in the city. Let's get more on him from him. Joseph, good afternoon to you. Tell us where you have been and what your observations are so far. Well, we'll try Joseph one more time. Joseph, if you can unmute yourself. I'm asking where you have been and what your observations are. What can you report from where you are, Joseph?
Currently, I'm here at the Registrar General's department.
Well, we see we cannot hear him, but we know that the National Labour Commission... Well, unfortunately, Joseph Armstrong cannot hear me, but the CLOGSAG strike is in full force. And remember, we told you already, it is across the country. And so let's go on to a different part of the country, particularly the Sekondi Takoradi area, where we understand the mayor of the Twin City, Abdul Mumin Issa, was this morning locked out of his office following the strike by the Civil and Local Government Staff Association. Meanwhile, the Western Regional Secretary of CLOGSAG, Kwame Teria, is warning that those who flout the directive will also be ignored at the point of their need. Irama Smith is reporting from the Western region. Irama, good afternoon to you. Can you tell us the situation in the Western region a bit more?
The CLOGSAG strike has really impacted here in the Western region. I'm currently at the Sekondi Takoradi Metro Assembly. All the offices are locked up. I saw a few service persons around who say they are now manning the offices. But because it's been raining since dawn, you don't see a lot of people here because there are a lot of flats around the city. So people are stuck in their homes and all that. On a normal day, you come and meet a lot of people here trying to get some services. When you look down, you see some of the vehicles parked there. That is the staff bus of the Sekondi Metro Assembly. Today, it didn't move, and everywhere is locked up. The interesting bit is that the Metro Chief Executive, Abdul Mumin Issa, has been locked out of his office. He says he came to work today, and the place was locked up. I have been interacting with him. Listen to him.
We came this morning, and it's like everywhere, everything is jammed. Everywhere is locked up. Even my office. I haven't been able to enter my office because those who handles the key are on strike.
What are you going to do?
What am I going to do? I've asked them to bring the key. They are on strike, but I'm not on strike. So I said I have to go and work.
So how are you going to work without your staff?
Well, those mails that I need to attend to, I'll attend to them. And then if there are any visitors or any member of the public.
The moment is Mayor of Sekondi Takoradi. Irama is still with us. Irama, have you been able to speak to any of the executives yet? How are they ensuring that the action is not undermined?
Yes, I have been speaking to the secretary of CLOGSAG here in the Western region, Kwame Teria, and he tells me that they have this system in place. The executives of the various districts have been asked to monitor to ensure that their colleagues go by the directive. So across the region, there's communication going on, and they're even sending visuals to show how the actions are taking effect. We have visuals from Amenfi East and other places, all showing that the officers are locked up. And he even cautions that those who flout the directive may also be sanctioned when they need help from the executive. So it's something that they are all doing in totality. You may listen to him.
We are not violent association. We will go to work as directive from Accra. So if you said you go to work, we will not come and punish you, but we have a means of punishing them. You come to our office one day, you know our help. We also know how we are going to deal with you. I'll tell my members they should keep calm, and then they should not be intimidated by any other person or any authority. They should stay at home as directed, and they should be focused. We will achieve, and then we will enjoy.
Irama Smith, we'll leave it here. Thank you so much for the reporting.
We'll continue with touching base across the country on this clock sack strike because persons who walk to some district and municipal assemblies to seek services have had to return to their various destinations without being attended to in the Ashanti region. The civil and local government staff there, as we've been telling you about, are on strike demanding the implementation of a new salary structure and other conditions of service as agreed in a memorandum of understanding signed in January of 2022. Ibrahim Abubakar has visited some of these assemblies. Let's speak to him right now as to what the situation has been. Ibrahim, you report that persons are being turned away, not able to receive services?
Exactly. So you move to the various assemblies in the Ashanti region, talk about KMA, Asqua, Foricum, and other places. You find a compliance team there. They are ensuring that workers who come are turned away, even people who come for service are also turned away. They just tell them that no one will be there to serve them because they are on strike. So they don't allow anyone inside there. In fact, they have locked the place. They said they are there to only allow the MCs or DCs to enter because they are not part of CLOSAC, and for that matter, they can have access to their offices. But without the workers too, it will be difficult for them to also come and work. So currently you go there and the MCs and the DCs are not also coming because some have their keys with members of CLOSAC and they've not reported to work today. So it will even be very, very difficult for you to have access to your offices. So like I said, they have the compliance team and Dixon Frimpong, who is the Asokwa municipal chairman of CLOSAC, has been speaking to us on how they intend to make this effective.
Force that strike in Asokwa municipality, and as a matter of fact, no staff is permitted to enter here to come and work today because we want the government to make sure that what he agreed to do, he must do it so that we can come back and work. And I also want to appeal to all Ghanaians, not that we want to go on strike for strike's sake. Our conditions are deteriorating day in, day out. We need our services we need to provide good services to our people. And we want to make sure that our conditions match up the system so that we can provide the services our community wants.
Ibrahim, away from CLOSAC, we know there's some development as well at Bania Chrome in the Ahafo southwest of the Ashanti region because a fetish priest gunned down 3 men yesterday. The police has announced that it has commenced investigations. Talk to us about the concerns of the residents, which we understand are now living in fear.
Well, because the police is yet to arrest the perpetrator, like the statement said, is currently at large. Residents fear because where he stays or where the incident happened was very close to his house. And this is where people used to access their farms, others to also their schools and other working place. And it's quite bushy. We have other farms there. So the fear is that until the police effect that arrest, using that stretch is very, very difficult. In fact, this morning, some students couldn't go to school, others couldn't go to farm because of fear. And also, there is another concern. These 3 individuals that were shot and killed, we were told were from another town, which is Jakobu. And residents there fear any form of reprisal. Maybe people or their friends will come in search of the fetish priest. They may not find him and may end up harming other individuals. So they are just hoping that the police effect the arrest so that at least they will be able to continue with free movement and go about doing their various activities. Some of the residents have been speaking to me.
He said, 2 of the kum and go for him. It will not go dinner. etu no so akodi no no so ya hwɛ na yehu Osman ba bi afa ada sɛ wo hye ba bi ada sɛ nkora yi so ompon school a ombɛkɔ efie no so ya asɛm ndi ese no ye maame mo mmewafo ne enua mo ma mo a mokɔ afuo mu no ehu aba abɛtɔ mo so siesie nti sɛ ne yɛsrɛ sɛ ese no a police for bɛyɛ nhwemu ahwɛ ba bi a Osman yɛ de ɛhyɛ na ɔmapɛ no akye na maye na yensu yɛ nkora yi so ho atɔ mo kakra
binya kwa wasa wa kula ono nten won fa school ebe ma Japan na bia maka se obi ntina akwa ne ma school so ne bia asianse ade nti je be sere Ghana police for say on be bua na bia mo security na tight o hono
yan yete kwan ho nti yesuro enkrofo na eba ye ntimi hu ba bia ye dwane afa ye so ye e ma time for e wo kwan yi so pa nti yesuro nti ye pamacho mo mebo aye.
Essentially, these residents and the young person all stressing the point greatly that they are scared and they are hoping that the Ghana Police Service can quickly arrest this said fetish priest to allow for the town to return to normalcy. Earlier, you heard me speak to my colleague Ibrahim Abubakar on this particular subject matter. But we're returning to the conversation on the strike by Clocksack here in the Greater Accra region, Kamini.
Indeed, we are, because clients visiting the Registrar General's department in Accra are being turned away by security officers there. The entrance is locked with red banners tied to the main gates, indicating that the Clocksack strike is in full force. Let's speak to Joseph Armstrong, who is on the ground for us. Joseph, good afternoon to you. Tell us a bit more about the situation.
Emily, so I'm still here at the ministry. Earlier I was at the Registrar General's department where we have these local security officers. When you come, they see they are not working and they ask you not even to get access into the building. Currently, as I speak to you, I'm around the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, also close to it is the Ministry of Agriculture. You see red bands on every single tree here, starting from the main traffic light, that is the central police station, down to the stadium area. You see red bands tied on all the trees here, indicating that, well, the strike is in full force. And everything in the ministry I've been to so far, you see just few people moving in and out, and the rest, no activity is taking place. Earlier, I also went to some district offices in the capital, like Ablekman West, Ablekman South, Ablekman Central. All these places, no single work is happening. Many of the people that came here, some came to do end of year returns, others came to do birth registration and death registration, but they are all being turned away because of the strike currently ongoing.
I see. What have they been telling you about, the absence of staff there to see to their needs?
So this client that came in, some travel far and near, so some came to do their death registration for their family members, and then they said they didn't know about this strike that is currently ongoing, and they were thinking that they were going to hear much about this in the media, but it just took them by surprise that they have to fight. It has already since dawn, and they were saying they knew there's a strike action. They wouldn't have bothered themselves to walking in the rain, coming all the way here just to pretend away from them.
Joseph, we'll leave it here. Thank you so much. Joseph Armstrong has been roaming Accra to some of the offices where Clocksack strike is in full force. He tells us that the Registrar General's department, clients who had come there for services have been turned away. But this afternoon, the National Labour Commission is meeting the leadership of the striking civil and local government staff association members. And according to Clocksack, the decision to strike is over the non-implementation of new salary structure by government approved by the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission. Let's now speak to our Labour correspondent. He has been sniffing around this meeting and he's joined us here in the studio now with a bit more on this. Did the meeting take place in the first place?
Right, so it has been shifted to 2 p.m. today. And as we rightly pointed out, they're looking at a new salary structure, which they met government last year and they were able to conclude on that one. but more than 1 year now, it is yet to be implemented, and that's what CLOSAC had decided to withdraw their services basically on that one.
Oh, see, I mean, let me guess how the conversation is going to go.
Right.
One of the demands the Labour Commission will be making is for CLOSAC to call off the strike.
Obviously, that's a major driver for National Labour Commission because there hasn't been any legal strike. Every strike that you go on, the National Labour Commission will ask you to call off the strike. So once they appear before the NLC, one will direct them to call off the strike. Then two, they may have the second directive possibly will be for them to go and engage their employer. They are not negotiating actually. They have concluded everything, but yet left to the implementation. So the NLC would expect some kind of a roadmap from government, from the Wages and Salaries Commission, a roadmap and or possibly a payment schedule as to when exactly this one will take place. That's what the NLC will be asking them to do, for them to go into their private meetings and be able to basically resolve that one.
What's the indication we are getting from CLOSAC? Will they be attending this meeting?
As at the close of yesterday, the indication was that they were not going to honor that. But when my checks this one indicated they are possibly going to be there, and I have seen them instructing their lawyers to lead them to the National Labour. So hopefully they are going to be at the National Labour Commission this afternoon.
I see. But, you know, I cannot, again, guess that they are going in with an entrenched position because negotiations have ended. The employer needs to adhere to, you know, the results of that,
exactly.
you know, negotiations, but it hasn't been done. We've seen this before. The National Labour Commission said they went to court to ensure that government adheres to or implements the outcome of negotiations. Can they trust the NLC? What has come out of that to give them the hope that the NLC can get them what is due them?
Trusting the NLC, that's another issue that one will have to look at. But when you go to the National Labour Commission and the National Labour Commission gives its ruling and implementation becomes a problem, it has to go to court to enforce its ruling. As you see currently, CITAG is still on strike. Even though they have been announced to call, but they are still on strike. CITAG has concluded with negotiations already. Another issue left to the implementation. Government must come in and do the implementation. Secondly, CLOSAC also concluded the negotiations. Government must come in and do the implementation. The problem has to do with implementing the agreement. They are able to do that. So obviously, NLC will give a directive because you don't negotiate at the National Labour Commission.
So it means that the CITAG matter is still in court.
It's still in court.
So there's no precedent.
The National Labour Commission will go into court on the 18th of July, basically to secure an injunction against CITAG for them to be able to call off the strike. But still, CITAG is still on strike. CLOSAC has begun a strike, and we are hoping that by the close of day today, the National Labour Commission's directive will be abided by the leadership of CLOSAC for them to call off and begin to come back to work.
I see. So the fact that there is no precedent, that NLC has been able to get government to implement outcome of negotiations, could it complicate the meeting they would have today?
I'm not too sure it's going to complicate any matters. We want to go to the National Labour Commission. The directives are just simple. Call off the strike. Governments go and implement the directive and report back to the National Labour Commission. So when they are able to report back to the National Labour Commission based on the agreement that they might have concluded, then obviously we are having a headway. But if they appear before the National Labour Commission today and they don't see any proper roadmap, then we are going to have a problem. In the case of CITAG, when CITAG appeared before the National Labour Commission, the National Labour Commission declined hearing, basically because CITAG was still on strike. But the concern of CITAG is that government is here to implement the arbitrary award. In the case of CLOSAC, they are appearing before the NLC today. If CLOSAC does not call up, then obviously they are also waiting for an implementation for it to take place. When they concluded negotiations, in the case of CLOSAC, it was chaired by Mr. Yaosafo Marfo. He chaired that particular meeting, and they agreed on the new salary structure. So we are hoping that National Labour Commission, based on the directive, government will be able to abide by those directives, the strike record. Because when we look at CLOSAC, the civil servant, they are main implementers of government policies. And obviously, when they are on strike, means that government business clearly is going to be affected.
Absolutely, indeed. Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure talking to you. Daniel Opoku is our Labour correspondent. You're live here on News Central. Still to come, we'll take you to the courts where the Supreme Court is live streaming its hearing of the suits against the Human Rights and Family Values Bill, what we have termed the anti-gay bill. But right now, we'll turn attention to election matters.
On your election command center, with just about 5 months until the general elections, the National Peace Council has convened a crucial meeting with political parties to promote a peaceful electoral process come December. The session will also mark the inauguration of the Committee on the Code of Conduct on Vigilantism and Election Violence, underscoring efforts to mitigate election-related violence. Let's touch base with my colleague Noble Crosby Annan, who's with the team. Has been monitoring this meeting by the political parties and the National Peace Council. Let's find out what really has been happening. Crosby, talk to us about the representation at this particular meeting and what has been the key highlights of the conversation so far.
Well, Eric, so essentially at this meeting that is happening behind me, you find almost all the political parties present here amongst them. The NPP and the NDC, they are represented in this meeting. We also have the representative from the police service in charge of elections going into the 2024 elections, also represented, as well as some other civil society organizations. And like you rightly mentioned, this aimed at ensuring that the entire electoral process, the lead up to the elections, is a peaceful one. Is more the agenda today is the inauguration of the Committee on the Code of Conduct on Vigilantism and Elections Violence. So according to the chairperson of the National Peace Council, this has become necessary.
We're having a challenge being able to hear you so clearly, Pierce. Rains may be affecting parts of the network connectivity across the country. You struggle with Armstrong, looks like we're struggling with Crosby as well. But let's listen to the Executive Secretary of the Peace Council who's been speaking, and then perhaps we'll try and reconnect with Crosby via the phones.
We have not been able to bring sanity into our political space was because after the signing of the agreement by the parties to disband vigilante groups, we did not follow through fully with some of the provisions in that agreement, especially the need to create a committee to oversee the political party code of conduct. It was agreed at that meeting that the parties were to choose their own members to form the code of conduct committee. Today we are here to receive and inaugurate the committee who will operationalize the supervision of the political party code of conduct.
Reverend Edu Jemfi there. Let's try this time via the phone lines and speak to Crosby. Crosby, you talked to us about the parties represented. Let's perhaps end with what has been crucial in the conversation so far.
Right, so exactly, just like I was saying, Eric, there's the need for representatives at this meeting, and this is coming on the back of previous engagements with political parties that have raised the concern that agreements reached are not followed through. So this committee on the Code of Conduct on Vigilantism and Election Violence, mainly their aim is to ensure that agreements reached between the political parties and the National Peace Council are followed through to the end. Key amongst them is the issue of vigilantism, and it represents a consensus between the two parties that vigilantism is inimical to the country's democratic system and must be eradicated. So the parties will publicly denounce any act of vigilantism where the perpetrators are affiliated or associated with or connected or related to the party. Now, following the passage of the Vigilantism and Related Offences Act in 2019, the parties also engaged in the leadership of known vigilante groups operating within their parties and encouraged them to disband such groups. So beyond the issues of vigilantism, this committee is also entitled or mandated, according to the terms of reference, to share ideas with the National Peace Council in terms of findings we have made in the run-up to the election.
Right then, Crosby, I appreciate those details. That's my colleague Noble Crosby, and I wonder in all of these conversations whether they've taken cognizance of the fact that there's a vigilantism law actually in the country, and hence these political parties are not supposed to operate vigilante groups. But I'm sure we'll get a lot more details as and when the conversations conclude. But right now, we can take you to the Supreme Court for our top headliner for this afternoon, Kemeni.
Indeed, at the Supreme Court, presided over by Chief Justice Gertrude Torkornoo, they are set to determine applications against the passage of the Human Rights and Family Values Bill by private legal practitioner and journalist Richard Delaskai and human rights advocate Professor Amanda Odoi. Richard Delaskai is challenging the constitutionality of the bill passed by Parliament and argues that it violates human rights, while Professor Amanda Odoi is seeking an injunction and restraining order to prevent the Speaker, the Attorney General and the Clerk of Parliament from sending the bill to President Akufo-Addo for approval. Lord Edu Asare has been sitting through the live-streamed hearing, and he joins us with a bit more on this. Lord, good afternoon to you. Bring us up to speed on what has happened so far.
All right, Kamini. So, essentially, Professor Amanda Odoi's suit is what is being heard at the court right now. Her lawyers argue that they are actually relying on their statement of claim, which says that Parliament did not peruse or go through the bill sensitively before forwarding it to the President for it to be assented. Now, they are praying the court to injunct this application of this bill.
Lord, I'm afraid you're going to have to speak up for me. I can barely hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can, if it stays this way.
I'm saying that presently, Professor Amanda Odoi's suit is what is being heard. Her lawyers have been relying on their statement of case, which indicates that Parliament didn't do justice to the bill during the consideration before forwarding it to the President. And so they are asking the court or praying the court to injunct the bill and restraining it from being assented. And they make the case that Parliament did not attach a fiscal analysis to this bill before it went forward. And so they're saying that because the private members bill, the funds and everything that attached to it will cause some losses, and they're saying that this should have been done. But in his argument, the Attorney General indicated that this is a novel case or situation, and so they will have to study things critically. Now, the panel asked lawyers of Amanda Odoi why they would not want the President to exercise his rights, but they indicated that if they allow the President to do things, if he doesn't attend to the bill, eventually come back to the House, and then majority will have to vote, and then it will come into the law. Will come into law, and this will, in the long run, affect what their argument has been all along, that is going to affect certain members of the community, and their rights will be affected.
I see, Lord. Why don't you keep an eye on the hearing? We'll take the story again, a little later. But thank you so much for joining us here on the news. Lord Edu Asare is our court correspondent. He's sitting through that Supreme Court hearing where two suits are challenging the constitutionality of the Human Rights and Family Values Bill. You're watching News Central. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll bring you more news. Don't go away.
Today on Constituency Watch, Clottey Korle constituency stands out as a crucial political battleground in a regional election in what could be a hotly contested parliamentary election. And Yonam Haliga has been finding out what voter expectations are in the lead-up to the 2024 general elections.
Clottey Korle is home to the Parliament House of Ghana, Black Star Square, Accra Sports Stadium, Accra International Conference Centre, nearly all the ministries, and until recently housed the seat of government at the Osu Castle. But this community is far from perfect.
The drainage system in Clottey Korle is choked. No MP has been able to put measures in place to clean the gutters.
MPC T. She wana noko ya kole klotemi. Ame wawo. Kawa ba wie.
We've had several MPs, but we don't see any progress. Frankly speaking, a lot of state institutions are in Korle Klottey, but we don't see any progress.
State House, can you be famous Korle Klottey? She want no yako. You want na ya Korle Klottey.
Klottey Korle is special. Not only is it a swing seat, but no one member of parliament has occupied the seat for more than a term. Take the Eagle Party's Nathan Thetemensa. He was MP from 1993 to 1996. He was then succeeded by the late David Lamptey of the NDC from 1997 to 2000. In the 2000 election, Lamptey was kicked out by the NPP's Ni Edudaku Mante, who broke the jinx of one-term MP when he remained in office from 2000 to 2008, but that was short-lived. The NDC was able to wrestle back seat from the NPP, but the MP, Nyama Ashite, only stayed for a term, leaving office in 2012. For the first time, the constituency maintained the NDC and produced its first female member of parliament, Dr. Zenato Rollins.
We would want to declare Dr. Zenato.
The daughter of former President Jerry John Rawlings has been in office since 2016 and hopes to retain the seat for the third term.
With hard times and the crucial election in the offing, what will make constituents here tick?
Say, we see what we need to obiswa and share no with you.
If we want to depend on any MP for development, we will be disappointed. We just encourage them to do the right thing.
So banichi ebehwe de ekoso
wo do chake mo aba Korle Klottey ni meni sa ke ha me akakwa hian.
We need change in Klottey Korle, so we will vote for those who deserve it.
E wo wan pa fai o de he ji wo ye Korle Klottey ahana wana o de he ni ji wo.
The over 97,000 registered voters are not just casting their ballots. They're advocating meaningful change in an election that could be tense in Klottey Korle. Enyunam Halika, TV3 News, Klottey Korle.
Now, residents of the La community say they will stage weekly demonstrations until President Akufo-Addo's administration returns lands that have been allegedly encroached upon by private developers. They say the land encroachments have robbed the local community of vital public spaces and resources.
We are going to start our demonstrations, and it is going to happen every fortnight till the 4th of December. And we believe that this will make government look. There's a land which we have a little dispute with the military over. That's the Plecho lands, and this has become a thorny issue. Government has released the lands to the people of La. In fact, when you pick any portion of the land and run a search at the Lands Commission, it tells you that it belongs to the last two. And so it is supposed to come to the La people. But any attempt the chiefs and people have made to go on the land, the military have stopped us. And currently, it is the Chief of Defense Staff, that is Opon Pepra, and then the Defense Minister, Dominic Nitiwu, who are standing in our way. They are the turn between us and claiming the land. So we are asking the President to call the Minister of Defense and the Chief of Defense Staff to order and ask them to back off that land so that the people of La will claim what is rightfully belonging to them. The land is registered in the name of the last two, so it should come to us. And like I said, the agitations are going to start, and we will not stop until the end of the year, where we believe that government would have given the lands back to us.
Whatever has been taken from the La, we want it back. The lands which has been sold to individuals, please, there should be a negotiation. Now, if we are selling this land to you, or if you take this land from La, know that if it's a company you are coming to build, we should have at least 5 people of La working. So now, when it comes to La, now our elders will also look into it, divide it to some of the quarter houses. So it's where I'm coming from. I can add one opportunity. other person can add one opportunity from there. So if I'm good, I'll make sure I settle my quota. If that person too is good, he'll make sure he settles his quota. Within this like this, things will get better for us.
Challenge no nji la general hospital ni akufo ado ba kuma ehwehyi. Kaje me na kuma ehwehyi ne. Makpale fa ke ba nya chon wo me ne gboye la ma na mi lo. Ne ke ba shi bi ne fe ko ha ko wo. No se shikani sande ko le akema hospital ha wo. Eke ha ewe bi na aja ya la mami. Ne ko le ka ke fe hospital ha wo. O te me kume alo me kume ba na wala ya la ne. Shike ha na aja. E ho wo shipon ehun. E ho wo shipon jiyan le hun. Wo hotel se e ho. Nita frache la ma bi ni yo je me na me tuo ni ame na. Je la pe shike je tema ho ke ho gan. Me ni yo je me fe gan ma bi no. Ni wo na e ho ko ni me ni ame ba ye.
Away from that, the Locked Up Investment Holders Forum is again picketing at the Ministry of Finance to demand payment of their locked up investments. The group has been pressuring the Finance Ministry to ensure that the Bank of Ghana releases funds held in defunct financial companies. I will try and connect with my colleague George Queenin, but on your screens right now, pictures, videos of what's been happening at the Finance Ministry. It's been raining all throughout the morning up until this afternoon. They have not been deterred by that at all and are still making their way to the Finance Ministry. They've been there for an hour. That's Dr. Edouard Anientri, who is just got out of his vehicle, is seeking to have an umbrella open so he can join the rest of his colleagues in picketing at the Finance Ministry. And you can see that on your screens as they made sure their presence was felt despite the rains all throughout today. We'll try and connect with my colleague George Queenin and then provide details for you as and when he does come through. To some more politics, and the opposition National Democratic Congress has suspended for 1 month its Central Regional Chair, Professor Richard Isiedu, for an unlawful act. The party, at a functional executive committee meeting, described the action of the regional chair in suspending Nurain Shaibu Mijima, the NDC's Asin Central candidate, and revoking his candidature as unconstitutional and puts the party into public ridicule. Viewers will remember news of the suspension and withdrawal of Nurain Shaibu Mijima's candidature becoming the subject of conversations following allegations he had impregnated, allegedly, the wife of his constituency secretary. But after a meeting, the party described the basis for the regional party's action as untrue. Let's walk you through the reasons that's been provided as to arriving at this conclusion. And the NDC says that the withdrawal of the Asin Central parliamentary candidate was unlawful, and the reasons which underpin the purported withdrawal of his candidature are totally false and without any basis whatsoever. They go on to say that the regional chair's role was a clear violation of express directives given by the General Secretary and the National Chairman of the party. So what this seeks to suggest is that the party had advised him not to proceed with that course of action, but he did not adhere to those directives. Now, in announcing the withdrawal of the candidate, it was a clear anti-party behavior and brought the name of the party into disrepute, one of the many things. And so the Functional Executive Committee of the NDC has resolved to suspend him and suspend him from his position as the Central Regional Chair of the NDC for a period of 1 month, effective immediately, and he's to hand over to his Vice Chair. Same suspension was handed over to the Constituency Secretary, who through these allegations were born. And so that's the latest with regards to that entire conversation, which caught lots of attention and had lots of tongues wagging as well.
Let's turn attention to health now. Persons in need of dialysis are still paying for the treatment at most public hospitals. That's according to President of the Renal Patients Association, Bafo Kodjo-Ahenkra, despite the National Health Insurance Authority's announcement of the disbursement of some 587 million cedis to 6 public hospitals for dialysis treatment. President of the association has revealed in an interview with TV3 that payment by patients is ongoing. He further confirms that patients are still moving from other regions to Accra just so they can get dialysis.
Let's say Monday, when we heard that National Health Insurance has issued the checks to them, I tried to find out. They said they've not received any check. So I gave myself, let me give them this week and see. I'll find out on Monday. But still, Kolebu, we are paying. I paid on Monday. Komfo is doing it, they are not paying. Cape Coast is doing it, they are not paying. Tamale, they had a problem, they are yet to start. Who is yet to start? And then Ife Quanta is yet to start. But Komfo and Cape Coast, they are doing it. Me, I don't trust Kolebu. For me, it's a personal view. I cannot speak up because, government facilities, when you are going for a refund, you can just imagine the hassle you go through. You might even give up. But that is what National Health Insurance is saying. We should keep our receipts and then refund will be done. So we are hoping, as they've given them the checks, when the checks mature and they get the money, they should kindly refund our money to us. I know one person coming all the way from Kibi to Accra to come and dialyze and go back. So people are still moving. I mean, inadequate of the machines that we don't have.
Kojo Bafo-Ahenkra is president of the Renal Patients Association, and now we'll bring you Regional Hub.
Students and teachers at Kaleo Senior High Technical School in the Upper West region have been left without a well-equipped functioning science laboratory since 2016. Now, despite the school being a pure science school and has been participating in the National Science and Math Quiz competition, the school is still grappling with congestion and inadequate infrastructure. Upper West region correspondent Ibrahim Wangara visited the school and has joined us via Zoom, phone rather, get the indication for a quick chat. Ibrahim, talk to us as to the current state of the school, the challenges, and what teachers and authorities are having to grapple with.
Yes, the Kaleo Senior High Technical School, as we do know, was established in 1991 by the Catholic Church. The school currently has a population of 1,638 students. But the school runs a pure science courses, and they have been participating in the National Math and Science Quiz being organized annually. However, the school cannot boast of a single well-equipped science laboratory to aid in teaching and learning. And this, according to school management, is having an impact on both students and teachers, because the school is currently using a room which was established or built 33 years ago that is currently serving as their lab for both physics, chemistry, and biology. So today, management are complaining about how challenging it is for them, and then students are equally lamenting that they are unable to participate in some of the tests being taught in classrooms, and even when it is time for them to have these practical sessions, as the teacher is taking them through the practicality of their subject area, there will be another subject master being on standby, asking them to leave the room to also pave way for another batch to come in. So this, according to the students and management, is affecting academic work at the Kaleo Senior High Technical School.
Ibrahim, thank you. We'll follow up on this, and I'm sure there'll be a lot more results now that this is out there, bringing an end to Regional Hub.
Media General has received confirmation from Guinness World Records that Chef Smith did not and has not broken the world record for the longest cooking marathon for an individual. The confirmation brings to an end a spate of confusion over the last 12 hours after Chef Smith announced he had broken the record with more than 800 hours of cooking. The controversy has also resulted in Guinness World Records deactivating the award category indefinitely. Let's take a look at that statement we got from GWR. On July 2nd, we know that Chef Smith held a news conference announcing his win, showing a plaque that many questions like were asked over the concerns over whether or not it was authentic. And really, how did he get the award? Chef Smith was later arrested over contractual breaches with his sponsors, and today we received that information from Guinness World Records that really he has not been crowned the record holder, and indeed the category has now been deactivated indefinitely, which means that the last holder remains, you know, the title holder of that until you know, a new record is made.
It's come with a lot of controversy.
Indeed.
Over the last, I mean, from Chef Fila to himself and all of the controversy which has been associated with it. We as well sent that message through seeking to get confirmation after his news conference where he announced
that when
he
shortly after which the
record. But what we're hearing as well from other reportages that Guinness World Record has maintained strongly that he did not apply at all to seek to attempt to break the record, and as well he didn't submit any evidence to Guinness
of the 800 hours.
Of the 800 hours plus.
Are you ready to eat humble pie? Because, you know, there was a lot of noise that was made about what a woman couldn't do. A man has done.
Absolutely.
And at this point, I think that you owe us an apology. Eat humble pie.
I have eaten
my dear friend.
I have eaten humble pie, and that's as a result of Chef Smith, by the way.
We have to run.
But before we go, yesterday we told you about the 3 News WhatsApp channel. It's a QR code you scan, and then you can join our WhatsApp channel for all things news and exclusive. And so when we confirm that Chef Smith had not broken the record, that 3 News WhatsApp channel is where you get that info from if you're following our WhatsApp channel. And so do well to follow. I am Mawina Egbeta.
Also remember to go to 3news.com for the latest news. Read it in full length.